All right, let's start with the availability report from Wednesday night, and I'll be very transparent with you, the listener, right now. Brian Kelly was set to meet with the media at 12:50. That was 11 minutes ago. He hasn't done that yet. That's not uncommon. LSU's always late to interviews every single time interviews are set. So I knew that we were potentially up against this. At any point over the next 15 minutes while I'm talking about this, Brian Kelly might come to the podium. If he does, he's been pretty truthful about what injuries look like, what the injury report's going to say, and what the availability of people are. So I may pivot mid-segment here, but right now we're working off what we know. And what we know is the injury update from last night, which was a little bit surprising, at least to me. Not surprising at all that Gabriel Reliford is not going to play. He is listed as out, subluxation of the shoulder. He's going to be missed significant time. We already knew that. Doubtful, Bernard Gooden. We knew that Bernard Gooden had a bruised collarbone. We knew that he was in a lot of pain as of Monday when Brian Kelly met with the media on Monday around lunchtime. But it sounds like he probably won't play. And I'm basing that off of the fact that LSU, as I just said, has been remarkably consistent and truthful with this injury report. And that was a question that I had, not about LSU, about everybody, as we get into this age of availability reports in the SEC, because we know Lane Kiffin played some shenanigans with them early on and was putting 30 guys on there, and the coaches don't generally like to divulge injury information. Can you imagine if Jay Johnson had to release this 3 times a week? Probably wouldn't be his favorite thing. And so LSU, when they release something, it is generally held through the week. Bernard Gooden, doubtful on Wednesday. I'm doubting very seriously that he's going to play. Then you move to questionable. You got 2 more guys on the defensive front 7. Jumari Butler, questionable with that ankle sprain. Whit Weeks, questionable. He hurt his wrist against Ole Miss, and he played a limited number of snaps against South Carolina. So obviously that is still bothering him. So if you look at those 4 names I just gave you, Gabe Reliford out, Bernard Gooden doubtful, Jumari Butler, questionable. Whit Weeks, questionable. All of that is on the defensive front 7. And this is a Vanderbilt offense that is built on running the football. Vanderbilt leads the country in yards per carry. They run a triple option offense, which is very, very difficult to deal with at times because of how disciplined they are and how many options they create. If you've watched them at all this year, especially in the Bama game, they hit Bama with a couple of really nice read options that turned into shovel passes to the same lead back. Diego Pavio will get on the edge, and he'll do some things to pitch it around or run it for 4 or 5 yards. It's a deliberate and option-based offense that Tim Beck has put in there at Vanderbilt, and they're very, very good at it. And if you take out Gabe Reliford and you take out Bernard Gooden, a senior, you take out Jumari Butler, a senior, and you take out Whit Weeks, a 3-year starter, you automatically are going to get younger on defense. At tackle, you bring Gooden out. You've got Guillory. You've got Breaux. You've got McKinley. Breaux and McKinley are sophomores. And then you're probably next up going to go to Walter Mathis, who's a freshman. You get younger at defensive tackle because of Gooden's absence. On the edge, you still have Jack Pyburn and you still have Patrick Payton. Those are senior players. But right behind them is Dylan Carpenter. We talked to Dylan Carpenter on Tuesday. I wrote a story about him today on LouisianaSports.net. He's not super young because he's in his 3rd year at LSU, but he hasn't played really at all. And so you're asking him to come in and be the next man up at defensive end against an offense that requires a lot of discipline, a lot of discipline with your eyes is the only way to really put that. So you get younger there. And then when Whit Weeks steps out, that's 3 years of experience. And you're bringing in Devon Keys and Tylen Singleton, who just haven't played as much. And I think that is a concern for LSU when you look at this injury report that, hey, you have depth. We've talked about that since August. And I told you in August that you can really overcome an injury here or there at every position, really. Now, knowing what I know now, I'm not in a hurry to play without Mansour Delane. I'm not in a hurry to play without A.J. Halsey. But Halsey did miss the first half against Clemson, and you put Jordan Gilbert back there, and the defense played very well. And you have played without West Weeks at times this year, and you put Devon Keys and Tylen Singleton in there, and Whit has missed a little bit of time here and there, and you played those guys. So it's not completely foreign, but we'll see how much Walter Mathis has to play in this game on Saturday, or how much you can see what you're getting from Jacobian Guillory Ahmad Breaux, and Dominick McKinley. The good news is that Vanderbilt doesn't run a lot of plays. We're going to talk about this in the second hour. Vanderbilt is the slowest team in the Southeastern Conference, so it's not an issue of being gassed. It's just an issue of making sure that you're in the right place. Now, I do know that right now, Brian Kelly is at the podium, so let me reset this with new information. You're learning about it at the same time I am. Bernard Gooden remains doubtful, so that stays put. Whit Weeks is questionable. Jumari Butler is questionable. That's the same. And then probable Aaron Anderson and Paul Mubenga. So LSU's not going to change its injury report tonight. So that's not surprising. And look, I think as you look at it, and I haven't gotten to the offensive side, that's where Aaron Anderson and Paul Mubenga are both probable. But on the defensive side, here's my opinion. And this is just that. I have every bit as much information as you do on this. Gooden being doubtful on Wednesday and Thursday, he's not going to play. If he does, I will change my tune on this. That'll be new information. I have not seen an LSU player move from doubtful to questionable and play this season. That hasn't happened yet. Questionable. Those guys have generally gone. Aaron Anderson didn't last week. He warmed up, didn't go. We'll see what Jumari Butler, his ankle feels like. They've got real depth there. So with Carpenter playing, I think you've got a chance to see him play. I would be surprised. Again, this is Hunt Palmer, conjecture, guessing educatedly about knowing how Whit Weeks is wired and knowing what's on the line for this team in his college career. I would be surprised if he didn't play with a wrist injury at linebacker. If it was a knee injury where he could not run, he could not pivot, he could not move, okay. And I don't know what the wrist injury is, and I'm not a doctor, so trust me, there is room here for me to be completely wrong, but a wrist injury feels like to me that it just hurts. If there's risk of him significantly damaging it further, well, then you probably don't send him out there. But if it just hurts, it feels like he would go out there. Now, I'm just talking in my head, talking through this. If it just hurts, he's probably not questionable. He's probably probable. So we'll see. But Aaron Anderson and Paul Mubenga on the offensive side look like they're good to go. Aaron is taking very much the same trajectory that Trey'Dez Green took. Trey'Dez Green went down with that knee injury, blocking against Louisiana Tech. He missed a week. Then he went out in warm-ups and with a brace on and gave it a go in warm-ups and then sat. And then he was ready to go after the bye. At Ole Miss, and then there was a bye. Aaron missed the second half against Ole Miss, and then he warmed up last week and didn't play. So this is the same track with the same area of pain that Trey'Dez Green had, and I anticipate that you will see Aaron Anderson. That is a big deal. They need him. He is the same general skill set as Kyle Parker, same general skill set as Xavier Thomas. He's just better than them. And we know that Garrett Nussmeier trusts him. We know that he's been very productive with Garrett Nussmeier. So they have a guy that can kind of fill that role. Like when Trey'Dez Green goes down, you don't have anybody to fill that role. You don't have anybody to split out and throw a fade to on a corner and just sky up at 6'7". Like that guy doesn't exist. You don't have that guy. Harold Perkins goes down, you don't have that same skill set. You can put a guy there, it's not the same. I would suggest that with Aaron Anderson going out, Kyle Parker and Xavier Thomas do some similar things. They're both 6 feet and just a little bit under. They're both working in the middle of the field, quickness over speed and size. Same type deal, but Aaron Anderson's just better. So I think you're going to see Aaron Anderson play in this game, and that's a big help to LSU. As far as Paul Mubenga goes, I thought Cohen Eccles did a good job last week in the running game. He's not as good in pass protection. Mubenga has played more, and he might be a little bit better in pass protection than Eccles. So I could see a situation where if LSU got a lead, maybe LSU's up 14 in the fourth quarter and gets the ball. I could see Eccles going in. We know we're running the ball in this drive. Let's get our best guy in there to run the ball. Say LSU's down 10 with 9 minutes to go in the game. Let's get Mubenga in there. He's the better pass pro. We're going to be slinging it a little bit here. That may be the guy. This is conjecture on my part. I don't know how Mubenga feels. The high ankle sprain is really tough on guys that weigh that much. But if he's probable, I think you're going to see him out there because the probable guys have played for LSU. So it's a more extensive injury list than I was expecting to see when it came available on Wednesday night. But for this point, and it will not change tonight, according to Brian Kelly, Gabriel Reliford not going to play. He is out. Bernard Gooden is doubtful. I do not expect to see him on Saturday. Jumari Butler and Whit Weeks, more on the front seven, questionable for this game. That's been a toss-up for LSU to this point, and then probable Aaron Anderson and Paul Mubenga. Fully expect to see those guys give it a go on Saturday in Nashville. It'll be LSU and Vanderbilt, 11 a.m. think kickoff time is actually 11:05 a.m. From Music City, and we're getting you ready for it here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.